Stop! Oh my god.
I'm getting good.
I know, you are pretty good. Hey everyone, I'm Chris.
And I'm Brock.
And we're back! Hopefully all of you saw last week's video, which was Brock's coming out video. And I just want to say right off the bat that I'm really proud of you. And
so sweet. Thank you everyone for the kind words and words of encouragement. It really was a little bit more difficult than I thought to tell that story, but the outpouring of positivity has really been really great.
It's been amazing. So today's video picks up where Brock kind of left off.
And then it's also picking up where our proposal video kind of took place, because
that's where we basically met for the first time. I would say though that this story of how we met didn't just take place over one day, it took place over
7 days!
Literally 7 consecutive days, no stop. But I guess like a little background on it, we had been chatting just via text message and phone and Facebook at this point. And then the day of that we met was a Sunday in 2011, July 24th.
Alright, you're gonna let me do a little bit of the story.
I know, but there's a little background, right? So yes. Where were we in our life?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So I probably like just a few days prior to us meeting in person had returned from New York after doing a summer program, and I was home in San Jose visiting my mom until I went back down to LA for summer classes because I was trying to finish up college early, and I did.
Success story.
Yes. So our kind of meeting took place during this like kind of convenient chunk of time between me being in New York and me being in LA.
I mean, it was literally, if it wasn't that week, it wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened.
We're both seniors at this time in college.
Yes. Well, it was before senior year.
Right, before senior year, 20 years old, both of us. I was at Berkeley as a student orientation coordinator, working and then living in the dorms.
That's a mouthful.
I know. It is a mouthful. I was living in the dorms during that summer, so that was the reason why you met me in Berkeley.
Yes.
Yeah, so you drove up and...
I drove up. I borrowed my grandfather's like maroon PT Cruiser and drove from San Jose to Berkeley. This was also the day that I came out to my mom. If you saw my coming out video, you will already know that. If you haven't seen it, you should go back and watch that. Watch Chris's coming out video, watch how we met part 1, watch the proposal, and then restart this.
All of the plugs.
And subscribe. Since I was coming up to Berkeley, we had arranged for me to spend the night in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Because Chris was staying...
Just as friends.
Just as friends.
Yeah.
Just as friends. Because Chris, as he said, was staying in the dorms.
Yeah.
And so he had 2 bunk beds in his room, so there was definitely going to be a place for me to sleep.
Yeah. I still though, like, remember the moment that we met in person. So he had finally arrived in Berkeley, and I had a parking pass for him to give to him. And I was walking up Channing Street, and I remember him getting out of his PT Cruiser, and...
My grandpa's
Yeah, well,
Cruiser.
Okay, your grandpa's PT Cruiser. For all I knew, it was his PT Cruiser at that moment, so I thought it was so great and funny. But he got out, and he was obviously as cute as can be, but his hair was so curly at this moment in his life.
My hair was like very similarly cut to how it is now, but it had a lot more curl for some reason.
It was like a poodle.
A poodle do.
And I was smitten, honestly.
Aww, smitten kitten.
I really was.
Chris Lynn.
But, you know, so again, like, this was just meant to be friends, and we had just been talking platonically, and I had obviously known that he was coming to terms with being gay throughout that summer, and at that point, until he got to Berkeley, I didn't know that he had come out. So, to your mom.
So I had big news to tell Chris when we met in person, and I think I probably spent a majority of the first few hours hanging out, just like kind of ranting and venting and stressed and just kind of like being a little bit hard on myself.
Yeah, I mean you were so hard on yourself that day. So we meandered through campus, and Brock spent most of the time talking, and I was just listening, and then we got to Jupiter, and it was pizza.
Pizza. So our first date, which we'll get into, that I guess it was a date later, was pizza. And I just remember after like, I mean, at this point we had really not been talking for that long, but I remember just like looking across the table at Chris and him just telling me to like stop harping and stop being so hard on myself. And I feel like that was just like so important and exactly what I needed to hear, since it was kind of like a tough day for me or a big day for me, and I was just really kind of talking in circles. And I think from there maybe I let my guard down a little bit.
You definitely did. He was just being so hard on himself, and I felt really bad. I didn't really know what to say, but it was a great dinner, but definitely it was not one of those first dinners that you're getting to know each other, because
Were you getting to know me?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I was getting to, but mostly just about this one moment in your life as opposed to your entire self, right?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the dinner. I made sure that I paid for it, even though I said it wasn't a date.
Yes,
I tried, not a date.
I tried to pay. I tried to split it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's trying to get into my pants. Like,
Not
I need
true.
to pay for my half, but he finally like convinced me. He's like, you drove all the way here, so I'll pay.
See, that's true. That's just logic.
Yeah, so, but then like a week later, he tricked me. He said it was a date, I paid for it. So whatever. It was our first date.
It was.
And then we got engaged there 6.5 years later to the day.
Yeah. So dinner wraps up, right? And then what happened next? We just went to...
I think we just went to Chris's dorm and we watched Toy Story 3.
That was such a cute night too. We watched the movie, and then Brock went onto the top bunk and I went on the bottom bunk. And
See, strictly platonic.
strictly platonic.
It was time to go to bed, but we could not fall asleep. So Chris suggested that we play the truth game to like get to know one another. So we just, I think, very openly and candidly, and I wonder if it was just like the fact that we were kind of on different planes, you on the lower bunk and me on the top bunk. We just were like very open and honest and just like kind of talked about anything from like favorite color to favorite movie to just told one another a lot of things about ourselves.
Yeah, some deep stuff too. I mean, there's just something about being in a bunk bed with someone talking, again, like on a different plane. It just feels so intimate, but then you're not.
It's like a sleepover.
Yeah, it was really cute. And then, I mean, we were definitely talking until like probably 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then it came down to the truth where I said, truth, I want you to come down to the bottom bunk. Ooh.
So I think I actually came down and I sat on the floor.
You did? Yeah. He
I was
did.
like, you're trying to move things too quickly.
Which is true.
Yeah. But I do think that is the night that we had our first kiss.
Yeah.
But that's it. No, just a kiss. We kept things classy.
Yeah, we did actually.
Not that it would be unclassy to go further on a first date, non-date, but
I mean, I was trying.
I gave him pizza. Oh goodness. So that was really like the first night. The first night that we spent together, and I think for the entire remainder of the time I was in San Jose, really I was spending a lot more time in Berkeley, or we would hang out in San Francisco.
He came down Sunday, left Monday, drove back up Tuesday, left Wednesday, drove back up Thursday, left Friday. So every single day for 7 days we saw each other.
And then I think my flight was on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. For me at that time, my parents were divorcing, and my sister also wasn't dealing well with it. And so it was a pretty tough week in general for me to have to...
That was a good distraction.
Yeah, you were definitely a good distraction, but then also to kind of balance those things. So Brock was meant to leave on that Saturday, and then last minute my dad booked me a train ticket to come down from Berkeley all the way to Simi Valley where my family lived.
And I was like, oh, well, what if I just cancel my flight and take the train with you?
I know, it's funny too because it's like first night I was definitely there for you, and then last night of the 7-day series of seeing each other and canoodling, you were there for me.
Yeah, so So I was like, well, let's hang out more, and my mom, I think, just like rolled her eyes, and she was like,
You're gonna take the train?
You're gonna take the train. And it was a long trip, but it did not feel that long. We just continued to like hold hands and be cutesy and tell each other more things about one another and plan like the next time we'd see each other.
Yeah. I mean, also it was one of those moments where we each had an earbud. We were just like laying there, just like this, like just
Hopefully
listen.
a little bit more comfortable.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
And so innocent. No, we're not.
And I remember Chris got off the train like a few stops before me, or at least one stop before me.
It was like 3.
And I remember like waving out the window, and I feel like your mom was like super curious and was like,
yeah, she was.
looking at the window.
Yeah, she was. Because she was like, who is he on this train with? Like,
Yeah.
she had no idea until that point when I think I texted her right before we got to the station. I was like, also, I've been with this boy, and
Yeah.
gosh, such drama. Honestly, so the real story is that we literally spent 7 days together, and then ever since then, and that was 6.5 years ago, we...
No.
Just over six.
Over 6.5
It's well, it's over 6. Okay, we haven't spent more than 7 days consecutively apart from each other, right?
Yeah.
We were so young back then.
We were so young, and I feel like looking back on it, you were going through something so traumatic with your parents' divorce, and I was just newly out and kind of discovering myself. And from like an outsider's perspective, and like looking back on things, I feel like it really could have been like.
Rebound? Or
like rebound, or like you also had just broken up with your boyfriend had just dumped you.
I did not break up.
A few months prior.
Yeah.
So it could have just been kind of this this fling, but it really was kind of like love at first sight. And
I mean, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry right now. Sorry.
We stuck it out, and now we're engaged.
I mean, I feel very lucky to have Brock, and it is that moment. If we didn't meet on that Sunday, I don't know what would have happened.
And if I didn't meet Lisa Lee, if she wasn't in like one of my first classes my freshman year, like just so many little things.
Well, thank you all for watching. As always, this is, I think, the final part of what we've considered our getting to know us mini-series. We're really gonna start doing other types of content very soon, from like skincare routine videos to Brock teaching me how to cook.
Yes, or trying to.
And then it's an impossible task.
Also, I feel like our kind of new setting, we've like kind of moved the camera around so that you don't see our entire apartment, because we are also going to do more home stuff. We just renewed our lease in San Francisco, and so we're kind of excited to give the apartment a zhuzhing, or maybe more of an extreme makeover. So let us know if you're interested in seeing that sort of content, because we could definitely share some of the process with you all.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we're obviously engaged.
One of these hand holds again.
Yay! And I think we're really making sure that we chronicle every part of the process, the good and the struggle.
Well, I think we've really quickly realized that there is a void of resources.
I mean, all I see are bridal magazines out there, and so it's hard for us.
Neither one of us is going to be a bride. We're going to be groomzillas.
The groomzillas. So we'll be documenting that a lot too. Love you.
Love you more.